We work on it all week. We ran it probably 3 or 4 times through the week, and at first it started on Monday with Ben asking me if he thought I could actually fumble on purpose and pick it back up. I was like, I don't know about that, and we kind of got off that pretty quickly, and we're like, let's just pretend we're falling or pretend I'm fumbling but I'm holding on to the ball. And I think the part that Gibbs where he dives really sells the play. I'm only doing half of it, but it worked. It worked like a charm, and it was nice to score there.
Elbow, forearm, he's going to be down.
The result of the play is a touchdown.
And the flag that was thrown on this was picked up.
I don't know, did it get the face mask?
Only do that if you're telling the official you're reporting.
The Lions hangover.
Hey everybody, how you doing today? It is Brad, and you are listening to the Detroit Lions Hangover Podcast, Postgame edition. That's my attempt in being obnoxious. How did it go? Lions win today. They destroyed. I was pretty close in that final score. What was it, 34-17? I predicted the 35-20. Didn't think we would need Jake Bates today. He did try to kick that super long field goal, the 65-yarder after the penalty. I couldn't tell if it was long enough. I know it missed a little bit to the right, but I couldn't tell if it was long enough or not. I wanted it to be. I was excited. I was like, yeah, go Jake Bates, go. But we didn't really need him today, but I do appreciate the field goal attempt. Yeah. Right? Before we really dive into this, don't forget to find me on all social medias, X, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, please, if you wouldn't mind, it's Christmas time. Do me a favor. Subscribe to the show, like the show, rate the show 5 stars. This is my little Christmas present from you guys to me. I appreciate it. And I will get you guys something just as soon as, I'm rich. So... Lions did get a little bit of breathing room today with Philadelphia losing. But the Vikings, they just finished beating the Seattle Seahawks, so that part's not too good. Overall, I thought the Lions had a great game today, offense and defense. I thought their pass rush still lacked a little bit. They did finally get that 1 sack at the end of the game. There was some pressure on Caleb Williams today, off and on, but still they only got the 1 sack. It's weird. I want to say that the defensive backfield had a great game, but they gave up some plays to DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. I feel like Keenan Allen just has good games against us, so I'm not sure what we can do about that, guys? Jake Bates, he made the 1 field goal. He got things started for us. We'll get into the stats in just a little bit, but of course he missed that 65-yarder. I think that was in the first half, at the end of the first half. And Jamo had a great game. I thought Amon-Ra had a great game. Offensive line had a great game. I don't remember too much pressure against Jared Goff at all. I think my biggest complaint would be not that there needs to be any complaints. We won the game. It was never in doubt. But I think my biggest complaint would be the defensive line. And again, it's not that they played bad. They held DeAndre Swift to less than 25 yards. I think he had 24 flat or something like that. I'll, again, double check in just a second here. But it felt like an easy day. It's exactly what we needed. I'm sure some of the bandwagon fans feel a little bit better now after that loss to Buffalo last week. Of course, we're heading out to San Francisco next week for some Monday Night Football on New Year's Eve. Next Monday. Excited about that one. I'm I'm hoping to get a guest for that. I have to reach out to them and just confirm and set up a time, but we got something special cooking up for that. So let's just get into this, and I'll break down the game as it goes and give my thoughts. Yeah, Jake Bates started the scoring off with a 30-yard field goal. Next, Jahmyr Gibbs. Man, Gibbs had a great game today, too. I was predicting like under 20 yards. We'll have to see what he ended up with. But Gibbs really took over for Montgomery. We didn't miss Montgomery too much. We missed him in spirit, like I would have liked to have seen him out there getting the ball. But as far as output goes, Gibbs really did a great job of taking over and sort of running the show. I know Craig Reynolds had a bulk of the backup carries, and even Sione Vaki, he got, I think, 2 or 3 touches back there. And, they all did a great job, but there's no doubt that it was Gibbs' show today. Goff, I thought he played fairly well, pretty great. The defense played great in the terms of turnovers. What did they have? They had like 2 fumbles, and I think there was a 3rd fumble, but they didn't get that one recovered. But there was 3 total fumbles. After that, Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown that made it 10-0. Jake Bates had another 34-yard field goal, so he did get 2 field goals, making it 13-0. On to the second quarter. Jameson Williams, man, the fumble Rooski play, but the stumble Rooski play set up the 82. No. Damn it, I'm wrong. This was just an awesome play by Goff and Jamo. It was from our 11-yard line, and Jamo caught the ball at their 34-yard line. So that ball was, what was that, like 60 yards in the air practically, and then he ran it in from that 34. Well, let's do the math there. If it was 82 minus 34 yards, let's 58 yards. Yeah, so 58 yards in the air is what Goff threw it, and then Williams had the 34 yards into the end zone. That makes it 20-0, and that was amazing, man. At first I thought Jamo was going to stumble, like he started stumbling a little bit, and then he regained his balance. Nobody was going to catch him. I was kind of hoping a little bit that it would. I want Jamo to hit max speed, and I don't know if he was able to hit max speed. I'd like to see him run, though. I want to know what his top speed is versus Jahmyr Gibbs' top speed. I'd really want to know. I wonder who they think the fastest is, and I would really like to see that. So maybe we'll see later this week, like, what is it, like FedEx or whatever, like they post how fast somebody was going, like their partnership or some crap like that. Anyway, 82-yard touchdown, Jameson Williams. Then finally the Bears get on the board. Cole Kmet has a 1-yard pass. I feel like Kmet always has those red zone. He's like a good red zone option for the Bears, and he seems to, his whole tenure there, he seems to be a good red zone weapon. I say this comfortably because, Lions win. This makes it 20-7, though. Next, we get an Amon-Ra St. Brown 8-yard pass from Jared Goff. That makes it 27-7. And then Keenan Allen, 45-yard pass from Caleb Williams. That makes it 27-14. And then we have the Stumble-Rooski. The Stumble-Rooski. And that ends up being a 21-yard pass from Sam Laporta. And then the scoring ends out in the third quarter with a Santos 30-yard field goal. So that's our final score, 34-17. I don't remember any. There was one play. I don't think the refs did a horrible job. I don't think they did a great job. But there was one play where I was like, holy cow, they're holding us, on the defensive line. Their offensive line was clearly holding us. I was like, why aren't they calling it? And then I don't know who it was, but there was clear pass interference on us, and they didn't call that. So I was like, okay, I guess that balances out. I'm sure, Bears fans probably in their mind have some complaints, or maybe other fans are like, oh, see, the refs are favoring the Lions, but there were really missed calls on both sides. If you really look at it, there were a lot of missed calls on both sides, and some phantom calls too. I don't think they necessarily got everything right, but I don't think they decided the outcome of the game one way or another. I just wish things went a little bit more accurately, I guess. I always prefer like an accurate, truthful type calling game. I don't want favoritism. I don't want the other team to get favoritism. I just want an evenly called game. And I mean that by the way of just call it when it's a penalty. Don't call it when it's not a penalty. That's how I prefer it. I don't want help from the refs. We can make our own destiny. Okay, so let's go over some stats here. Caleb Williams, he went 26 of 40 for 334 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Look, I hope... Well, Poles needs to be fired in Chicago. I don't want Ben Johnson to go there or Agnew from the front office because I heard that could be a possibility where it's like a bundle deal where Ray Agnew and Ben Johnson both go to the Bears so they can like install their version of the Lions culture there. Like, I don't want that to happen. However, Poles does need to get fired. He's put a talented team together, but he's not put a good team together. But one thing is for sure, Caleb Williams, he's not bad. The dude's not making turnovers. He definitely didn't hold on to the ball as long as he has in the past, with a guy that averages more than 4 sacks a game. We only sacked him once. He did a much better job of getting rid of the ball and stuff. And I'm not trying to break down the Bears or anything like that, but it's, give credit where credit's due. He didn't have a bad game, but they're just missing that chemistry, probably in the locker room. There's a whole lot of dysfunction. You can just kind of see it. So when they get a new regime in there, I hope they realize that half of their team is actually really talented. I'm sure they've got a few people they need to get out of the locker room too. DJ Moore. Caleb Williams was sacked twice. I just remember the one time, but he did finish with quarterback rating of 107.7. He ran the ball, Caleb Williams, that is, 6 times for 34 yards. I don't remember him running the ball that much either. DeAndre Swift ran the ball 9 times for 20 yards. That messed up one of my bets. And they didn't even throw they threw once to Tim Patrick, but he didn't catch the ball. That messed up my bet too. Other than that, man, I hit all of them. It was going to be a good parlay, bro. It was going to be a good parlay. Keenan Allen, he had 9 catches for 141 yards, 1 touchdown. Rome Odunze, he had all the fumbles, man, although one was blamed on Caleb Williams. He caught the ball 4 times for 77 yards. DJ Moore 7 times for 68 yards. DeAndre Swift 3 times for 33 yards. Cole Kmet 2 times for 9 yards and that 1 touchdown. So Caleb Williams gets credit for 2 fumbles, 1 lost, and Rome Odunze 1 fumble, 1 lost, and then DJ Moore recovered that other one from Caleb Williams. Their top 5 leading tacklers were Jonathan Owens with 8, TJ Edwards with 8, Kevin Byard with 3, Tyreek Stevenson with 6, and Tremaine Edmonds with 5. That's their top 5 tacklers. Let's see who got their sacks. Zach with 2 C's, Z-A-C-C-H. Pickens. Zach Pickens had 1 sack, and that's it. That's all they had on us was 1 sack. So, poo-poo, sticker and doo-doo. Jared Goff went 23 of 32 for 336 yards with 3 touchdowns, 1 sack, and he finished with a quarterback rating of 137. Jahmyr Gibbs ran the ball 23 times for 109 yards with 1 touchdown, his longest being 12. Craig Reynolds ran the ball 4 times for 18 yards. That's 4.5 yards a carry. Not bad. Not bad. And I was surprised to see Jamar Jefferson. He actually looked a lot like Jahmyr Gibbs with the hair sticking out of the helmet. He ran the ball 3 times for 13 yards. That was for 4.3 yards per carry. Also not bad. That's who I thought Sione Vaki was. But Sione Vaki caught the ball 2 times for 20 yards, averaging his longest being 12 yards. Jamo ran the ball once for 7 yards too. It was a nice little play. Okay, so catching the ball. Jamo was the man today. He had 5 catches for 143 yards. Of course, that long one was 82 yards with the touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 6 catches for 70 yards. With 1 touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs had 4 catches for 45 yards. So total on the day, Jahmyr Gibbs had 153 yards of total offense. 154 yards of total offense. Sam Laporta 4 catches for 43 yards. Sione Vaki, 2 catches, 20 yards. Jamar Jefferson, 1 catch, 10 yards. Sorry, my bad. And Craig Reynolds, 1 catch for 5 yards. So the ball was spread out, and those, the backup running backs, they saw some action, so they had a good day today. Our top 5 tacklers: Brian Branch, 12 tackles. I thought he had a really great game. Amik Robertson, 8 tackles. I thought he did, I'll say solid, but he did give up some of those big yards to Keenan Allen. Jack Campbell, third on the team with 7 tackles. Terrion Arnold, 6 tackles. And my man, Ifeatu Melifonwu, nice to see him back out there. He had 4 tackles. He did get credit with 1 sack. And he almost had the very first sack on the game. He just missed him, and you could tell. I was like, man, is that Iffy? And then it was Iffy, and he just missed him. But, oh, my God, he was so close to getting a sack. What was it, like the very first play on defense? It was awesome. He definitely penetrated that backfield. That's 2. Oh, and Al Quandine Muhammad, he had the other sack. So Melifonwu and Muhammad had a sack each. Jake Bates, 2 for 3 on the field goals. His longest being 34. Of course, he missed the 65-yarder. Jack Fox only punted 1 time today for 47 yards, and there were 56,539 people that walked through the gates at Soldier Field. Let's do some team stats real quick, shall we? Lions had 27 first downs. Bears only 19. They ran 65 total plays on offense. The Lions, that is. Bears only had 59. Lions had 475 yards of total offense. Bears only had 382. Lions had 10 drives. The Bears had 9. The Lions were 2 for 5 in the red zone. Bears were 1 for 3. Lions had 7 penalties for 55 yards. Bears had 10 penalties for 70. They did have a lot of false starts and offsides and stuff. I feel like the Bears were not so disciplined on the offensive and defensive line as far as the penalties go. Lions had the ball for 31 minutes and 29 seconds, which means the Bears had the ball for 28 minutes and 31 seconds. All right, so that breaks down all of the game here. Overall, it was a great game. There was, like I said earlier, it was never in doubt. You weren't looking over your shoulder at the Bears. There was a few times when they brought it to within, 2 scores. But it was like we were horsing around. We were purposefully trying to fake them out with stumbling, who does that? Nobody has ever fake stumbled before. Now, what if that didn't work out? Because that was a pretty good acting job. It was a risky trick play. And when it initially happened, you didn't know that it was going to be a trick play. But it definitely opened up Laporta for an extra yard or 2 because the defense let off of their protection, in their backfield. So they're not on their man, they're playing man coverage. They're not on their man as tight as they were because they thought, hey, Goff is fumbling, let's rush towards the ball. Or Goff is stumbling, the play could be over in a second. They just let their guard down for just half a second. Goff just turned and threw the ball. Laporta had 3 yards, in front of his man. It just left him wide open for a touchdown. It was a great throw, great catch. It was just the freaking genius of Ben Johnson. And it seems so ridiculous to think to yourself, hey, can we pretend to stumble, and you heard Jared Goff say it at the beginning. His first idea was to purposefully fumble and pick it back up. How are you going to do that, man? That seems risky as hell, but the stumbling, it worked out. I don't know if I would have purposefully fumbled it, but the stumbling, that definitely worked out. This team is a lot of fun to watch. It's a lot of fun to watch. And the bandwagon fans who are probably now back after last week's loss, they have to be having a good time, right? You bandwagon fans have to be having a good time. It's like you don't know football. There's no way you know football if you're only watching the Lions for a little bit, just because they're winning. You only know football if you watch them, season after season during the crappy times too. That's when you can truly enjoy what's happening right now. And no matter what happens from here on out, it is fun. It is a good year, but this means nothing if we can't go far enough into the playoffs. And I have to say, as many injuries as we have, more than half of those guys will be back for the playoffs. And they're going to come back refreshed, Like Montgomery's going to be back for the playoffs. Hutch hopefully will be back by the championship game, Super Bowl at the latest, hopefully. Carlton Davis Jr., he should be back in the playoffs, Anzalone be back in the playoffs. Like these important pieces will be coming back. We just have to weather the storm right now, and it's getting better because Melifonwu was back today, and he made a difference. I thought he had a really great game. The dude hasn't played all season. I thought he had a really great game today. Overall, I thought the Lions did a fantastic job. I know it's against the Bears, but you tell me, look at Carolina. They won today, and they were happy. And if they can win out, they're going to feel good about themselves. I don't believe anybody ever tanks because losing sucks. People are playing for their jobs, okay? The Bears are coming at us with everything because nobody wants that feeling of loss, Like I said, they're playing for their jobs. They're playing for other people's jobs at that. So don't discredit a victory over the Bears. Yeah, they're not having the greatest season for a lot of reasons. But still, Lions went in there and they took care of business and they did it easily. That's a sign of a good team. That's a sign of dominance. And like I said, we got a little bit of breathing room with Philadelphia losing today. We can lose. Well, if the Vikings lose next week against the Packers, we could lose one more. It's not going to be a big deal. We'll have it wrapped up if the Vikings lose next week and we win. So if that happens, I believe they're playing the Packers next week. If that happens, we've clinched the number 1 seed. We could clinch the number 1 seed as early as next week if the Vikings lose. Wait, is that right? Yeah. Because then as long as we win and they lose, we clinch the number 1 seed. Because then even if we tie with the Vikings or the Eagles, say we lose that last week, no matter what happens, we have all the tiebreakers and we will have the 1 seed. So big news. It's big, exciting times. Exciting times, man. Okay. I think that's it for me. I don't have much left to say. I've been quarantined to my bedroom here to not make too much noise because my son is in the living room playing video games and he didn't want me in the living room doing the podcast like a weirdo. I was actually totally cool with it. Normally I would feel weird, talking to myself, but to all of you people in front of him, it would just feel awkward, but I was ready to do it. I was like, he knows I do it. I don't care. That awkwardness was gone for me. I was like, hey, can I do it out here? And he's like, yeah, if you have to. I was like, I'll go to the bedroom, settle down. So, all right. Okay, well, that's it for me. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please don't forget to rate and subscribe. 5 stars, please. 5 stars. You can, if you leave a review, you can badmouth me all you want. Just leave 5 stars. That's all I ask for. And it doesn't hurt you anyway. It's free. It's free to rate me 5 stars. If you leave me 1 star, I will hunt you down and I will pee all over your door handle. Okay, that's it for me. You guys have a good holiday season. Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Festivus. All right, take care.